So it's Halloween and I am currently on a walk with my dog, a little foraging walk. It's kind of a tradition of mine this time of year to bring a basket with me when I take the dog for a walk, and we do a bit of foraging on the go. I'm collecting leaves and acorns and pretty much anything I think would just be a really pretty addition to my autumn altar. But we had a storm a couple of days ago, and in addition to knocking a lot of branches and leaves from the ground or from the trees, it also happened to drop something that is one of my favorite things to work with, and I wanted to share that with you guys. I believe in all of North Carolina we are privileged enough to have a very special tree with us. It's called the sweet gum tree. It was a revered tree by the Cherokee Indians that lived here, that were the original native inhabitants of this land, and I recently found out about the sweet gum tree about 2 years ago, and I gotta tell you, I'm hooked. I make a tincture every year with it. So I'm going to share that with you. It's a super easy process, but the very first and most important thing is finding the sweet gum pods. And like I said, we had a storm, and so I was lucky enough to stumble upon some right now. This is what they look like when they are not from the tree. Most people are familiar with them in their brown state, their dried up state. But this is what they look like, and this is the way that you want to find them. They grow very tall, the trees, and so they're usually up very, very high, and it's not really an easy task to get them from the tree specifically. So if you get lucky enough and you have a storm that knocks a bunch to the ground, then you can collect enough. I usually make about a quart jar at a time. Collect enough of these pods, and which is what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna bring them into the house and I'm gonna show you how to make a tincture with them. All right, folks, so we are back in the apothecary kitchen, and I've got my pods and assembled a few supplies that we're going to need. You'll notice that they're in a strainer because I did go ahead and give them like a quick rinse and a shake off, a drain, just to get any extra debris, or like I said, brought these in from the storm. They were a little bit muddy, and these guys are good to go. So what else you're gonna need is a heavy duty knife, a quart-size jar, although you could, depending on how many pods you actually collect, you could probably get away with a pint size as well, and some pure grain alcohol. This is going to be what we need to extract all of that beautiful shikimic acid, which is the component in sweet gum that is what we're trying to go for, which is the antiviral properties. I happen to have Everclear. This is all I have in the house. I don't even have very much, but this is all I have right now. You can also use 80 proof. 80 proof is more than sufficient. This is just a little more heavy duty. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna take these guys out, and I happen to think this is the absolute hardest part of the entire process. We're gonna go ahead and give this guy a chop in half, just to allow the shikimic acid and other properties that it has to be extracted into the alcohol a little bit more easily. Ta-da! And so now we're just going to do that about another 10-15 times until all of our pods are done. And that's it. On to the next step. Alrighty, so now that these guys have all been chopped in half, the next thing we're gonna do, easy peasy, is we're just gonna go ahead and put them in our jar. I think it is also kind of important to mention, you noticed when I did the chopping that you can't very easily chop it in half. Chop is actually what you have to do. You can't easily cut it in half. It is necessary to get kind of a chopping motion going. Have to put a little bit of muscle into it, but you get them almost cracked in half is what you want to do. All right, I'm just gonna put these guys all in here. Might actually have a little too many pods for the amount of alcohol that I have in the house to use, but we're gonna go ahead and see what we can do, just so I can show you guys what comes next. Super simple. You're gonna put your pods in your quart-sized jar, and then you're just going to pour your alcohol. I like to use vodka for my tinctures, and I tend to save the brandy for my essences, my herbal essences. Okay, that's it. You can also, I have run out of other alcohol and ended up using bourbon in some of my tinctures. Pretty much anything that's 80 proof, that's going to be strong enough to pull all of the beautiful chemical constituents out of the plant material. So as you can see, I was only able to fill it up not even half, probably between a quarter and halfway. Your goal is to top off your bottle, to put as much alcohol as you possibly can fit in there and make sure that all of the plant material is completely covered. And one of the things you also want to do while you're leaving it on the counter as far as the alcohol goes, alcohol does have a tendency to evaporate. So I like to, in addition to checking on my jar every couple days and giving it a little bit of a shake, I do also sometimes find it necessary to top it off. Sometimes some of the alcohol will evaporate. You just want to make sure that your plant material is covered at all times. You're going to go ahead and close this baby up. And then you're gonna have it sit somewhere in, I tend to keep it in kind of a darker, neutral place where it's not gonna be subjected to either heat or too much cold, just a nice comfortable place for it to sit in a shelf maybe, for the counter for 6 to 8 weeks. And at that point, all you're gonna do is strain it. And so I can obviously do a follow-up video to come back and show you the straining process. But that's about it, folks. You're just gonna get your plant material in a jar, top it off with some whole grain alcohol, leave it for 6 to 8 weeks, and allow the plant to do its magic. Okay, so I guess I will see you guys in our next video in 6 to 8 weeks when we'll strain our tinctures together. If you do go ahead and follow this video and give it a try in making your first tincture, or even your 100th, whatever it is, I would love to hear all about it in the comment section below. Also, be sure to give this video a like, and of course hit subscribe so that you'll know the second I upload the next video for us to strain our tinctures together. So that's it, and happy tincture making to all!